Welcome back to math. These are the practice problems for section 15 on circles and volume. Practice problem 1 asks us to match the line segments in this circle with proper labels. So a diameter of this circle is WY. It's a line and it goes through the center. WY is also a chord, but it's a special chord. Here's a chord that is just a plain old chord, YZ. YZ is also an arc, but when we're referring to the arc that is there, we could put kind of a curved line over it, and to refer to just a line, YZ, we can put a straight line over it. A radius is OX. Actually, OY is also a radius, and OW is also a radius. Problem number 2. What is the circumference of a circle with a radius of 12 inches to the nearest hundredth? Well, be careful here because radius is the 12 inches. Our formula lists it as the diameter. Circumference equals pi times the diameter. And of course, a diameter is twice the radius. So the diameter is 24 times pi. And when you do that, you get 75.36 inches rounded to the nearest hundredth. Problem number 3. What is the diameter of a circle with circumference of 16 inches to the nearest tenth? So we use this version of the formula. Diameter equals the circumference divided by pi. We're told that the circumference is 16 inches divided by 3.14, and we get 5.09. But they asked us to round that to the nearest tenth. It would be 5.1 inches. Problem 4. What is the area of a circle with a radius of 5 inches to the nearest tenth? Area equals pi times the radius squared. The radius is 5 inches, so that's 25, 5 times 5, times 3.14, and that will give us 78.5. So with area, we're talking about square inches. Problem number 5. What is the radius of a circle with an area of 296 hundredths square feet? So that's the area, so that's what we'll substitute in here, times some number squared. When we divide both sides by 3.14, on this side we still have the radius squared, and over here we get 64. So the square root of both sides gives us just r here, that's the radius, what we're looking for. And of course 8 times 8 is 64, so the square root of 64 is 8. This was in feet, so we need to label that. Problem 6. What is the volume of a cube with a side of 1 inch? Well, the volume of any kind of rectangular box is the length times the width times the height. In a cube, those are all the same, and in this case it's 1 times 1 times 1, which is of course 1, and we say that that's 1 cubic because we're talking about a three-dimensional objects, and we're using inches as our unit of measurement. Sometimes with a cube, you'll see the formula written as side cubed, so the side of the square times itself 1 times 1 times 1. Problem 7. A father is making a rectangular storage box for his son's building blocks. Each building block is 1 cubic inch, and the son has 500 blocks. If the base of the storage box is 5 inches by 10 inches, how tall does it need to be to hold all the blocks? Okay, let's make a little picture here. The storage box is 5 by 10, and we're talking inches here. So we need to add a third dimension in order to be able to fit 500 of these blocks in it. So we need the total volume to be 500 cubic inches. So that's going to be length times width times height. We know the length, 10, and the width, 5. We're looking for height. This is 50h. Divide both sides by 50, and we will get a height of 10, and we'll label it as inches. Problem number 8. Mary's water bottle is a cylinder with a radius of 1¼ inch and a height of 6 inches. Let's stop and draw a picture of that. So it has a circular base and some height. So it has a radius of 1.25 inches and a height of 6 inches. How many ounces of water will it hold if each ounce of water fills 1.8 cubic inches? All right, well, we need to find the volume first, and the volume is, of course, pi times the radius squared times the height. That's 3.14. The radius is 1.25 squared, and the height is 6. When we do that math, we will get 29.44 cubic, and we're talking about inches here. But what they asked us is how many ounces of water. So we can do this a couple of ways. We could set up a ratio. So if we know that an ounce takes up how many cubic inches, that's what they told us, that 1 ounce holds 1.8 cubic inches. And this holds 29.44 cubic inches. If we cross multiply, we'll get 1.8x equals 29.44. Divide by x, and we will get about 16 fluid ounces. Problem number 9. Lucky Lick's Ice Cream Shop buys ice cream cones with a diameter of 8 centimeters and a height of 15 centimeters. Let's also draw that picture. So here's the ice cream cone. It has a diameter of 8 inches and a height of 15, these are centimeters. If ice cream is tightly packed into the cone but not overflowing, how many cubic centimeters of ice cream does it hold? Alright, so we just need to find the volume of the cone. And the volume formula for a cone is 1/3 pi, is the radius squared, times its height. That's going to be 1/3, 3.14. The radius, well, they told us the diameter is 8 centimeters. The radius is half of that, so 4 squared. And the height is 15. When we do that, using a calculator, we will get 251.2. And this time we're talking about cubic centimeters. Remember, cubic refers to volume, and then whatever your unit of measure is. Problem 10 says how many cubic inches of air are needed to fill a ball with circumference of 10 inches to the nearest inch. Well, we need to find the volume of a sphere, because a ball is a sphere, and the formula for that is 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. Now we can also use this formula to find the radius, which is what we need. We're told only the circumference. Even though it's a sphere, remember a sphere is just a three-dimensional circle, so this formula will still work to get us the radius. Alright, so circumference was 10 pi, we're going to use 3.14 times the diameter. Divide both sides by 3.14, and we're going to get a diameter of 3.18. But that's the diameter, and we need the radius. The radius is half of the diameter, so the radius is 1.59. Okay, now we can come over to this formula. 4/3 pi, that's 3.14, and it's the radius cubed, which is going to be 1.59 times 1.59 times 1.59. Doing all that, and we're going to get 16.8 cubic, because it's three-dimensional, and inches, because that's the unit of measure we were given. Problem 11. What is the volume of a pyramid, the length of 9 centimeters, width of 12 centimeters, and a height of 6 centimeters? So we have this box for the base, and then some point. So we have the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 length times width times height. So that's 1/3 9 times 12 times 6. And we come up with 216. It's cubic, since we're talking about three dimensionals, and our unit of measure here is centimeters.